you know, she will definitely be helping people as well. You know what I'm saying? For those who will need that extra help. But we're going to go over this process. Exactly what to do with this here. We are at 32K likes. It's 200 people in here. So I need everybody. The next portion of the class starts at 45K likes. All right. Tap the screen. I'm about to go get my drink real quick. 45K likes. We're going to go to the next part of the class. All right. That's all I'm like asking for is for the likes. So it will go out to people. So go ahead, tap the screen. Just tap, 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 tap. 45K likes. We going out. You the man. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's go, guys. Get it up. Get it up. Let's go. Get them likes on there. Let me get my drink. So, alright guys. Alright, we at the 45. So let's go. Let's see how we're going to actually endorse this. Let's learn, see what they saying when they giving us these codes. Because they give us the codes all the time. But they never give us the clarity, right? We never get the clarity. Alright. So, now, endorsing. Now we know per 15. Now we know per 15 USC 7001. Thank you for the heart meat. Dandelion. Oh, Dandelion. Thank you for the subscription. You have now unlocked when we have these sub only, because I have sub only classes. Every class after August 11th will be a sub only class. Okay? Because I can't, it's too many people doing too much, right? But August 11th, we will have a very good literacy class. It will be going all day long. I will be giving as much people as help as I can, okay? That starts August 11th. Every day after that, it will be to my subs. So if you haven't subbed, those courses will be locked, okay? A sub ain't nothing but $3. It goes a long way to help me continue to do this, because I really want to continue to do this for the people who want it. These classes, these classes be like $700 to $1,000. People charge it, right? I'm not trying to do that. I was trying to give it away for free, but it took off more than I thought it would. So, how do we do this, right? Now we know per 15 USC 7001 that they have to send us this in the mail. They have to, right? They got to make us opt out of it. And we know why, because they're operating under the gold clause, 31 USC 5118. So now, I'm going to pin that at the end of the video. I'm going to pin that, okay? For everybody who wants the Cash App, I'm going to pin that, and we'll work about that. You'll be invited to, if you want to go the Cash App way, you'll be invited to my Discord, where you can get everything that the subs are going to get from the Discord. So now we know that they gotta send us this, and we know why they gotta send us this, because of the gold clause. Now let's see about how we are going about these things, because if you've ever been in these courses, because I have, and you've ever bumped your head on it, they have you fill these things out a certain way. They give you a template. They say, hey, do it like this. They might even just put it up on the screen and say, boop, there it is. Do that, write this code on there and do that. And in the minute that you answer them a question, they shoot you back a UCC code real slick, like, nah, the UCC code is this. Boop, 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 bop, bop, bop. And that's this. And you still don't know what the fuck it means. You just write it down. Thank you for the sub. Nala, thank you for the sub. Yeah, right? And notice that every bill has a positive number because it was value already given to it. And if you stick with me, I promise you I'm gonna show you where it says that in the codes. All right, I promise you I am. Okay, so now how do we endorse this correctly? How do we do this correctly? Is there a way? Because they make us endorse it. We know we gotta endorse it, but how? Right? So now, top part, firstly, there's two parts to it. Perforated, right? And you detach the coupon, right? Bottom part, remitting coupon, right? Top part is called a bond. This is a bond. This is why it's on bond paper. Like when the judge lets somebody out of prison, he just writes it down on bond paper, right? And then it's endorsed because the bondsman comes and gets it and then endorse it. So that's how the bondsman gets paid, by endorsing the bond. It was just made up. It came out of his trust. They put his social security number on it, and it came out of his trust.
Was it apple juice?
Yeah, apple juice. So, how do we do this? We're going to read. We're going to read into the text. It lets us know the requirements for endorsement. And this is CFR 328.6. I'm going to get out the way so you can screenshot it if you need to. But this is CFR 328.6. These are the requirements for endorsement. I'm going to give you about 5 seconds right now to screenshot that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A true bill, when you ask for the true bill and stuff like that, you're trying to challenge the fact that true bill is sort of like, you want to use that for like cars and mortgages, because they turn that into a promissory note and they get paid on it. But that's a different process right now. Let's get through this remittance real quick. All right. So it says 328.6 requirements for endorsement. On the bearer of securities, the endorsement must be imprinted in the left-hand portion on the face of each security, with the first line thereof parallel to the left edge of the security, and in such a manner as to be clearly legible, and in such position that it will not obscure the serial numbers, series designation, or other identifying data, and will cover the smallest possible portion on the text on the face of the security. I'm going to slow that down so we can go over that again, right? Because that was telling us how to endorse it. All right, so I'm going to slow that down. Tristan, thank you for the sub, man. Thank you for the sub. I'm going to let all the people who subbed in here, please stay to the end so I can address you guys so you know exactly what you're doing. The endorsement must be imprinted in the left-hand portion on the face of each security. So it's telling you right there. When you're endorsing these things, I don't know if they gave you however it is, but it's going to be where? On the left-hand portion, on the face of each security. So that means when you're facing it, somewhere on the left-hand portion, you're going to be endorsing it. If you look at it and just endorse it on the right-hand side, because there was more space there, guess what? You failed. You failed. If they didn't tell you that, it should be on the left, whatever the case may be, they just gave you a template and you just copied it down, you failed. You failed. And it's not your fault, right? Like I said, because every time I say you failed, guess what? I failed too. I failed before you did, or somewhere along the line, right? Doing this process. So don't think that this is a one-shot. No, I failed too, right? But now the literacy is the point, right? Because they give you all of these codes. They tell you all of these codes and tell you to read them and write them down everywhere, right? All right, so now, Carla, thank you for the subscription. Thank you for the subscription. Please stay to the end. The endorsement must be imprinted in the left-hand portion on the face of each security, with the first line thereof parallel to the left edge of the security, and in such a manner as to be clearly legible, and in such position that it will not obscure serial numbers, series designation, or other identifying data, and cover the smallest possible portion on the text on the face of the security. So also, now it says, with the first line thereof parallel. Now they got tricky right there, because you notice how these sentences be. The sentence is long as hell. The sentence is long as hell. But this is what this means. With the first line, left-hand portion. So I'm looking at the face of the security. It goes on the left. For me, that's going to be somewhere over here. The coupon is different than the bond. So we'll get to the bottom part in a second. But we're talking about the top part right now, right? So this is a security. It's a bond. So somewhere on the left-hand portion of this, I'm going to be doing my endorsement. With the first line, they're off parallel to the left edge. With the first line, they're off parallel to the left edge, right? Okay. Who is that? Bash, thank you for the subscription, Bash. Please stay to the end. Please stay to the end. All right. So with the first line, they're off parallel to the left edge. They're all parallel. Tricky words. Okay. So now every bill, it comes like this for a reason. This is the way that they must do it, because we know what now. Per 15 USC, per 15 USC 7001, they have to send us these things, and they have to make them a certain way. So every bill will come indented. You will see this right here. It'll never go on the face of the security. It'll never go all the way edge to edge. They will leave room on an indentation, right? Because yours should be parallel to the left edge. So you're going to be starting yours, instead of, you see how this is right here? You're going to be starting your endorsement out here. This is what that means. With the first line, they're all parallel. We know parallel means running the same way, but they said they're off first. So it's going to run off of it. You're going to start it parallel to the left edge, but it's going to run off. So it'll go this way, the way that the text is going, right? On the page. The left-hand portion. And where do we start on any page anyway? The left hand, right? Writing goes from left to right, okay? So with the first line, they're off parallel to the left edge. So don't start your indentation right here. Don't start your endorsement here. You start your endorsement on the left edge with the first line parallel off, okay? Now, it also says not to cover any of the serial numbers, series designation, or other identifying data. We're not covering no numbers and no names. Numbers and names. Do not cover any numbers. Do not cover any names. Do not cover any numbers. Do not cover any names with your endorsement, okay? When you start to put your endorsement on here, you will not cover any numbers and you will not cover any names. Thank you for the heart me. Yeah, remember my page is flipped on the screen. So I'm not on the right hand side, if that's what you're thinking. I'm flipped. Mine's is flipped. Okay? If I had the camera flipped the other way, then it would be the actual way. But it's flipped. Thank you for that. So now we want to see what it's saying, because now it's going to it's going to tell us about the dimensions of the endorsement, right? So let's see right here. The dimensions of the endorsement should be approximately 4 inches in width and 1.5 inches in height. The dimensions of the endorsement should be approximately 4 inches in width and 1.5 inches in height, and must be imprinted by stamp or plate of such character as will render the endorsement substantially ineradicable. You subscribe, you got to go to my page. You hit my page up there, and then once you go to my page, you can scroll over. It should say that you subscribe from there, but if you got to go to my page, you got to go all the way over to the right and hit subscribe. All right. Now let's see what that just said, because that just said a lot about the endorsement, right? They gave us the dimensions of it. 4 inches in width and 1.5 inches in height. So if you've ever been the person who has had to write on these things, and your dimension, your endorsement wasn't 4 inches in width and 1.5 inches in height, that's crazy, right? But it's telling you that that's what it needs to be required. Okay? But it didn't just stop there. 4 inches in width. BFF Dog Accessories, thank you for the subscription, right? 4 inches in width and 1.5 inches in height, and must be imprinted by stamp or plate. Must be imprinted by stamp or plate. So the minute that you start writing on it, who was one of the people who started writing on these things, that ever tried this and they started writing on these things? Let me get some ones in the chat if you've ever tried this, but you just wrote all over it, right? If you've ever wrote, but it's a positive number. If you started writing on this thing, fail. It's a fail. Okay? And why? And not saying that you won't get through, but That's what it is. It's a birth certificate security of interest. Yes. It must be approximately 4 inches in width and 1.5 inches in height. It must be imprinted by stamp or plate of such character as will render the endorsement substantially ineradicable. Now we know, here's more definitions. If you eradicate a problem, that means that the problem is now gone. You eradicated it. It is gone. Now, if that problem is ineradicable, that problem still stands to this day. You could not get rid of it. No matter what you did, it was no way for you to solve that problem. So, eradicable, eradicate, kill. Ineradicable, it can't be killed, right? You can't stop it. So, no, you cannot use a printer. So, if the endorsement, the dimensions of the endorsement is approximately 4 inches in width and 1.5 inches in height, and it's imprinted by a stamp, because now we know we need a stamp to imprint this. Even at the top, it says the endorsement must be imprinted. Down here, it says it must be imprinted by a stamp or plate of such character as will render the endorsement substantially ineradicable. It just told you, if you do it like this, it's going to be substantially ineradicable. Substantially. But sometimes we get the wrong teachers, and we just get to bow. We rewrite all over this thing. You wrote 1 million UCC codes. You felt like a scholar doing it too, and it didn't get you no results. Fail. You have to know the codes. They tell us to read it. Maybe they don't go through it with us. Whatever reason. Fail. I done seen all of these. I done went to these classes where they put these things up, and it is nothing but penmanship all over it, right? These things look crazy. And I didn't say this. It's not what I said. Right? You know what I'm saying? Thank you. I appreciate that, dog. Do the codes go on the stamps? Not yet. We'll get to that. Understand that this is a pre-course. This is a pre-course to get everybody to the main course, okay? And I'm giving away something so you can receive something, all right? And then you will have the confidence to come to the course. Okay? We're going to get over all of that. Don't worry, I'm going to get you to what the stamp should say exactly and everything. Okay, so now, good afternoon. Yes, you can. You can sub. If you can't sub right here, you can send the sub to the Cash App, and like I said, you'll go right to the Discord. You'll get the Discord. All right, so now we know that the endorsement must be imprinted on the left-hand portion. We're not going to be printing it on the right-hand side, and we know that it should be parallel to the left edge. They're off though, right? And we're not going to cover any names or any numbers. We also know that it should be no more than 4 inches in width and 1.5 inches in height. And it must be imprinted by a stamp. We know we're going to need a stamp, and I'm going to give y'all where to go for stamps and all of that, right? For the imprinting stamp. Not a postal stamp, an imprinting stamp. Okay? And that stamp should be 4 inches in width and 1.5 inches in height. Right? And if we do that, we know that it will be deemed substantially ineradicable. That's what we got over so far, right? So now, the Federal Reserve Bank, the name of the Federal Reserve Bank of the district must appear on the plate or stamp used for imprinting of the endorsement. And presentation to the appropriate branch of the Federal Reserve Bank named will be considered as presentation to the bank. All right, so now I'm going to go over that real quick, because that is a process that they do for you, right? I told you, you are the beneficiary, right? And they are the trustee. When they made the account in your name, that Social Security account, that with that all caps, they are the trustee over it. You are the beneficiary over it. If anybody knows how a trust works, even when you make your own private trust, you have to make yourself the trustee and beneficiary if you're going to sign out anything for yourself. Okay? If you're going to make your kids the beneficiary, guess what? Only your kids can receive what you sign out. They have to approve it. You have to approve what is signed out for them. Okay? They can't do it without you. And that's the same thing with this trust. So when they pay your debt, they do your debt, right? You file a chapter 7, you file a chapter for bankruptcy, or anything like that, or you go to these companies that say, hey, look, debt consolidation, right? The only thing that they do, because you give them the right to act on your behalf, the only thing they do is go to these companies. All right, I'm gonna pin the Cash App, right? The only thing you do is they go to these companies, because now they can call on your behalf, and they say, yeah, send me their bills. And what are their bills? Send them all here to this company, boop, boop, boop. They send them, they use these remittance forms, and they go present them to your bank from your all caps, from your Federal Reserve Bank that's hooked to your Social Security number. They present them to the bank. Why? Because they're a fiduciary. They have 9 digits. It's nothing different. All of these we have all them 9-digit codes, right? So that's what they do. They present this to the bank, and you paid them to clear your debt. And all they did was take a remittance form and pay your debt with it. All they did was find the promissory note and challenge the promissory note to pay your debt. That's all they did, right? So that's why they're being presented to the bank. But we're going to go back over this. We're going to go back over it in this full. The name of the Federal Reserve Bank of the district must appear on the plate or stamp. So we know that something's going to appear on the plate or stamp, right? Used for the imprinting of the endorsement. And presentation to the appropriate branch of the Federal Reserve Bank named will be considered as presentation to the bank. When securities, though, here we going forward now. When securities are to be presented to the Bureau of Fiscal Service, the words United States Treasury should be used in lieu of Federal Reserve Bank of Fiscal Agent of the United States. Now, when securities are to be presented to the Bureau of Fiscal Service. How many people know what the Bureau of Fiscal Service is? Because it's just letting us know right there that we either supposed to be presenting them to the Federal Reserve Bank of where our account is supposed to be at, or we're supposed to be presenting these to the Bureau of Fiscal Service. Right? So what is the Bureau of Fiscal Service? The Bureau of Fiscal Service is a department that is in the United States Treasury that deals with what? Public debt. Go ahead and Google that. Go ahead and put that in Chat GPT. Ask, what is the Bureau of Fiscal Service? And it will tell you. It's a department within the United States Treasury that deals with the public debt. Remember the public debt obligation. What is that? That is issued domestic obligations and domestic obligations that are guaranteed. So we have domestic obligations that are issued, and we have domestic obligations that are guaranteed. That's a part of what? The public debt obligation. That's a part of what? The gold clause, right? See how it goes back? So now, this is who we want to deal with, the Bureau of Fiscal Service. And it says, when securities are to be presented to the Bureau of Fiscal Service, the words United States Treasury should be used in lieu of, and this is a quote, Federal Reserve Bank of Fiscal Agent, notice that it's a fiscal agent, of the United States. Then it says, no subsequent endorsement will be recognized in the form of endorsement on a security is different than prescribed in 328.5. And that's where we go next, to see exactly verbatim what should be on the stamp. And that's what I'm going to give you next. Yes, hey, everybody who donated yesterday, I appreciate y'all so much. What y'all did was crazy, and we was able to get my brother a ticket to Houston. All right, and yeah, so he's gonna thank you Leslie Henry, thank you for the subscription. So he's gonna fly out, I think it's Thursday. He's getting his things in order. He's gonna fly out Thursday, and that's all because of you guys. I won't be worried about him. I really thank you guys for that. So I won't have to take away time from class or none of that, because he won't crash out. Okay, just know that he needs to not be in this area. Okay, now, I appreciate that, y'all, for real, y'all, and I hope that me giving this back to y'all will being able to keep doing this, man. Listen, so you pay your bills with this? Yes, I pay my bills with this. There's another person in here, a set, guys, and if she's still in here, I'm gonna pull her up. She's been doing it for about, what, 3-4 years now. You know what I'm saying? I pay my bills with this. That's what I do. But you can't pay, like I said, you can't discharge groceries with this, so don't think that you won't need to work ever a day of your life and you're getting, there are things that you can't buy with this. Like you can't buy shoes, stuff like that. You're still gonna be a consumer in a way. But, so now we know we need to go to 328.5. But from 328.6, what do we know? Let's go down over what we know. You can do a credit card with this. And I'm gonna say this before we go back over what we know. I did it with the credit card. Had 2 credit cards. If you have a big limit on a credit card, they might shut it off. Okay? They will clear it and shut it off. Melina, thank you for the sub. Thank you for the sub. Please stay to the end. Yes, they might shut it off. So, for instance, I paid my $5,000 credit card off with it, and they shut that motherfucker off. They cleared it, but they shut it off. Now, I still have one credit card, but it's $500. So, that's $500 in a month. You only get a monthly statement, right? So, $500 in a month is not really nothing. We know that right now. Like, because if you spend $500 on food, go to the grocery store, yeah, you're not, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got kids too, so it's like dollar limit one. Dollar limit one. They shut it off. Yes, you can. You can pay any bill that you can get in the mail, and you can get any bill in the mail. We know that per 15 USC 7001. Okay, so now, just be wary with your credit card and what the limit is. You can pay it off, but I wouldn't pay the full thing off when you start using remittances. Definitely if it's a big limit. All right. So now, 328.5. So now we know from this that our endorsement must be imprinted in the left-hand portion of the security. With the first line, they're off parallel. We won't cover any names or numbers. And we know our endorsement should be what? Approximately 4 inches in width and 1.5 inches in height. And it must be imprinted by a stamp. We're going to need a stamp. So we're going to send you where to go to get the stamps. It's places like Office Depot. Places like Office Depot, rubberstamps.com, or you can Google any place that makes custom stamps. Okay? And we know that if we do it like this, 4 inches in width and 1.5 inches in height, and it's imprinted by a stamp or plate of such character, will render this endorsement substantially ineradicable. Now, we also know that because we're not presenting this to the Federal Reserve Bank, we're not presenting them to our banks, because the United States Treasury deals with our debt, that we are presenting this to who? The Bureau of Fiscal Service, who has a different address than the United States Treasury. But that's where we're presenting it to. But it's telling us that we are going to use the words United States Treasury on our stamp instead of Federal Reserve Bank of Fiscal Agent of the United States. And we know because no subsequent endorsement will be recognized other than the form of 328.5, that's our next stop. Okay? So now we're going to go to 328.5. And this is where we are right now. Okay, so guys, we had 91K. You know, I asked for 10K. So let's get it to, we got 235 people in here, so we can get it to 90, 101. Let's get it to 105, guys. 105K like dismantle the corporation. Yes, sir. Y'all see who said that? Dismantle the corporation. I'm going to pin the Cash App for everybody who wanted the Cash App pinned, that want to subscribe. If you subscribe through the Cash App, make sure you DM me with your Cash App tag. All right? Or you donate through the Cash App, DM me with your Cash App tag so I can then invite you to the Discord. Get my drink. That comments pin right there, it starts with a B. So we need to get to 110, guys. Oh, did I say 105? 105. We almost there. Ooh. We all have a trust. Are you talking about a private irrevocable trust or irrevocable trust? Don't really need it when you're using your trust that you have already correctly. I'm just saying. Okay, yeah, she said them. Okay, we have 106, guys. Here we go. We have 106. All right. All right, so 328.5. We know why we here, because no subsequent endorsement will be recognized other than 328.5. So remember, like I said, you're a trustee, right? You're asking the trustee to go into your bank. You are that bank, though. There is no bank without us. The only reason that they make that social security number, all of those banks exist because of us. We are the bank. All right? You are the creditor. All right? You're the beneficiary. You're the creditor. They need your signature every time to make any money. When you deposit money into a bank, the only reason they can make credits is because of your signature. So, this is what your stamp will say verbatim, okay? Verbatim. I'm giving you what it will say. So go ahead and take a screenshot of this, because we talk about A, 328.5 right here. A, this highlighted portion right here. Take a screenshot. 5 seconds. 5. Thank you for the gifts, y'all. Thank you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Where can I sign coupon? All over the back. I'll go over that sub when you get the everybody who's a sub. I'm gonna give y'all the Discord so you can send me these type of pictures. All right. So now it says, for presentation to the Federal Reserve Bank of Fiscal Agent of the United States for redemption or in exchange for securities of a new issue in accordance with written instructions submitted by blank, which is going to insert your name right there. But let's go back over this, because remember, this says for presentation to the Federal Reserve Bank of Fiscal Agent of the United States. Hold on. Isn't that familiar? Federal Reserve Bank of Fiscal Agent of the United States. The quote. Federal Reserve Bank of Fiscal Agent of the United States. For presentation to the Federal Reserve Bank of Fiscal Agent of the United States. Remember, since we are presenting ours to the Bureau of Fiscal Service, the words United States Treasury. Thank you for the subscription. Thank you for the subscription. Wild Bliss. The words United States Treasury should be used in lieu of. In lieu of means instead of. The Federal Reserve Bank of Fiscal Agent of the United States. So we're using what? The United States Treasury instead of Federal Reserve Bank of Fiscal Agent of the United States. Federal Reserve Bank of Fiscal Agent of the United States. So ours will say, for presentation to the United States Treasury, because we're not using this, for presentation to the United States Treasury, for redemption or in exchange for securities of a new issue, in accordance with written instructions submitted by your all caps name or however your name appears on your social security card. If your name appears first, middle, last, it's going to be in all caps. That's exactly how you should have it imprinted. And this is the stamp. This is the stamp that you're going to go to the people and say, I need a stamp made. I need a custom stamp made. And they're going to say, okay, what kind of stamp do you need made? And you're going to say, well, the dimensions of it need to be 4.5 inches, 4 inches wide, no more, and 1.5 inches in height. And it should say this. You'll send them what it should say exactly. Or you'll tell them, or you'll send it to them, type it, whatever, depending on where you go to get yours, right? And it will say, for presentation to the United States Treasury, for redemption or in exchange for new securities of a new issue, in accordance with written instructions submitted by your all caps name. And that stamp, remember we said it's going to go on the left-hand portion, 4 inches in width and 1.5 inches in height. And we're talking about a stamp for imprinting. You're going to get an ink pad also, red ink pad, blue ink pad. You'll take the stamp. Once you get it, put it on the ink pad, and then you'll stamp the endorsement on the left-hand portion. And guess what? This will be it right here, because this what? 1.5 inches in height, 4 inches in width thereof. Bam. The stamp gonna go right there. Pop. You just endorsed it correctly. Pop. Red or blue? Red or blue will work. Yes, all that is going on the stamp. Right here, this highlighted part for presentation. But you're taking out what? Federal Reserve Bank of Fiscal Agent of the United States. We're taking that out because it tells us when we presenting this to the Bureau of Fiscal Service. And the Bureau of Fiscal Service is the department in the United States Treasury that deals with the public debt. So we are making sure we know y'all deal with the public debt, which means you deal with the domestic obligations that are issued, okay? And this is one of those, right? That's why they will know that. And notice that it says this. So when you're asking this for presentation to the Federal Reserve Bank of Fiscal, not the Federal Reserve Bank, to the United States Treasury for redemption. For redemption, guys, or an exchange for new securities of a new issue in accordance with written instructions submitted by your name. Notice that it says with written instructions. Notice that it says with written instructions. You must send them instructions. You must instruct them how to do this. All right? Nay. Not black. You must instruct them how to do this. If you're not instructing them how to do this, guess what? You just fell through the crack because you got all the way right here and made this thing right here and got the stamp and everything, but you didn't send them no instructions on how to do this. You didn't, because you didn't even know the laws. You don't even know. You might have just put a bunch of UCC codes on there and be like, yeah, this, that, and the third. With recourse, exemption from levy, all of that. You'll just put all of that on there that they tell you to put on there, and then it does nothing. Because it's just a bunch of codes, and there's no instruction in there. Fail. So if you've ever gotten this far, or you've ever even done it correctly, written all of these things on there, and hey, they might have been willing to accept it when you wrote on there. But guess what? As soon as you wrote on there and then you didn't send instructions with it, they didn't know what the hell to do. They threw that shit away. Fail. You didn't instruct them to do nothing. Fail. You just told them you was going to do it here. By you. Written in accordance with written instructions submitted by you. That's your all caps name right there. However it appears on your social. And bam, it's gone. It's gone. Just like that. Right? So the stamp has a slot for the city. Do I exclude it? Yes, you're not going to be putting on your stamp. Your stamp will say United States Treasury. Because we're presenting it to who? The Bureau of Fiscal Service. Now that's where it gets down to the nitty gritty is some people are sending these things straight to the United States Treasury. And if you are going to send it straight to the United States Treasury, it might take a little bit more of time, right? That's at 1500 Pennsylvania Avenue. But you must address the Bureau of Fiscal Service, right? The Bureau of Fiscal Service, they have their own address, though, in Washington, D.C., okay? So they have their own address. We'll get that up. We'll show y'all all of that. We will get it to you. I should put this in a book. Maybe. Maybe. Do this paperwork for people. Will I do this paperwork for people? I don't want to, because I don't want to charge you for it. I want to give you the ability to do it on your own, right? I will, I guess, but I don't want to. But don't worry about that. If you need it done, I have the perfect person that's coming up for you guys. Anybody who's like, hey, look, I still want to do this. I want to learn it. But until then, I'm trying to have somebody that can do it for me. I got the perfect person for you. Don't worry about that, okay? You just need to stay to the end of the class, all right? I need that person. Don't worry. The person is in here already. She's in the class actively, showing out. So, red or blue ink, not in black, yes. Yes, don't worry. That's what I said. For everybody who still wants to learn the process, but you still want that extra outside help, I got somebody for you. I already have some consultations that I have to do from per yesterday's live, and they'll tell you that I don't do that really, right? I do not do that. Yet and still, yesterday people helped me out, so I'm gonna help people out, right? Not the Federal Reserve Bank. No. Not the Federal Reserve Bank. So, we learn per 328 CFR. This is CFR 328.6, CFR 328.5. We learned that per CFR 328.6 where the endorsement should be at on the security and the left-hand portion. How it should look, it should be there off parallel. We know we're coming all the way to the edge. Okay. We know that it must be 4 inches in width and 1.5 inches in height. It's got to be imprinted by a stamp, and when we do that, it'll be substantially ineradicable. We know that since we send it to the Bureau of Fiscal Service, on our stamp, we're using the words United States Treasury in lieu of Federal Reserve Bank of Fiscal Agent of the United States. Okay? And we have gotten this right here from 328.5, and that will say for presentation to the United States Treasury, for redemption or an exchange, for securities of a new issue. We're asking for a new issue. Clear the debt, right? In accordance with written instructions submitted by us. We know that that is our stamp. That's our stamp, and we're going to endorse these things with that stamp because that's the way to do this, to make it substantially ineradicable. Okay? This is what we learn per these laws. All right? And we're going to follow these to the T. So our endorsements can be what? Substantially ineradicable. Once we follow this to the T. Issue of what? We got to get to that. Patience. We're going to get to that. Because now we have only done the top part. We need to know about the bottom part as well. Because everybody tells you about the bottom part. It's just a check, right? It's a negotiable instrument. There's no law for money. It's a check, bruh. Fill it out like a check. Do it like a check. And maybe we fall through another crack again. All we know is that they telling us it's a negotiable instrument. But we're going to go over why. Give you the literacy of why. So you can believe. And you know that, hey, this actually is a negotiable instrument other than them telling you it's a negotiable instrument. And remember this, though. Remember this. With written instructions, the reason that we're going over the codes is so that your written instructions, so you can have written instructions. You won't necessarily need a template for written instructions, right? Because your written instructions will sound something like this. These are the laws that we already went over, right? 15 USC 7001, right? We know that we get that they can't take away our right to paper mail, right? And we know that 31 USC 5118 is the gold clause. So you start to instruct them like, well, since per 31 USC 5118, you and your company is operating under the gold clause, which turns around and gives a domestic debt obligation to the entirety of the country, to everybody who's under it. It's under the public debt obligation. So you must issue domestic obligations, right? You must issue these domestic obligations. I have received this domestic obligation. I have endorsed it correctly per CFR 328.6. It's on the left-hand portion. It's no more than 4 inches in width, and it's 1.5 inches in height. It does not cover any of the series designations either. No numbers, no names. And I have put the correct endorsement per CFR 328.5. Right? Boom. That's how you starting to build it. Right? So that's when you putting these codes on there, on your letter of instruction. Thank you for the sub. Thank you. Who was that? Dave Shank, thank you for the sub. Please stay to the end of the class so I can address all the subs. Definitely the new ones. Right? So now that's how you're starting to build this thing. That's how you're starting to instruct it, because you know what you're saying. You know what the law is saying. Alright? And you know how you got here. Alright? So now, negotiable instrument. Now we need to go down to this bottom part, because we know we detached this and we're going to send this off to the Bureau of Fiscal Service. This top part is going to go in its own envelope, and it's going to go to the Bureau of Fiscal Service. We're going to get those addresses up. All right, just give me time. The Bureau of Fiscal Service. The bottom part, the negotiable instrument, we know we're supposed to send back to the company. But is it a negotiable instrument? Is it, right? That's the whole thing, because when you try and you try and you try with this thing and it don't work, you start to feel like this ain't no fucking negotiable instrument. Sub up, yes, sub up. I'm telling you guys, this ain't no fucking negotiable instrument though. So you've tried, I've tried, they tried, and they just told us to write the code on there, and we did, and then shit didn't work, right? So now let's see if there's validity to it, because I'm not going to tell you whether there's validity to it or not, right? You got to determine that for yourself. I'm going to read it to you in a different way to make you understand. I'm going to give you an actual class, right? So let's see what this says. This is UCC 3-104. I have never ever been to it, and I slide through all of these classes all the time, right? The free portion of it anyway, right? I don't do no more because I already know it, right? But I slide through these classes all the time, and I see the same codes. UCC 3-104, you're going to see the same codes in all of these classes. And it's crazy because they're giving people good remedy, but no explanation to the remedy. These same codes. I'm not giving you no codes in the same codes that they always tell you, hey, just go read. Go read. They be done with you. They got the money. Go read now. Go on read now. And you messed up. You're like, God damn it. Nigga, if reading was working, motherfucker, by myself, then I wouldn't be asking you all these questions. So, like I said, just give me a chance to get through it. I promise you, I'll probably get to your question as going through it. Yes, comprehension, understanding is key. To comprehend, to understand all of this is key. Right? So, let's go over this. Let's see if we can understand what the fuck they doing. Subscribe. I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it, bro. Thank you for the subscription, Lord. Locks, thank you for the subscription, right? So, UCC 3-104, negotiable instrument. Let's see what they talking about. Except as provided in subsection C and D, and we'll get down there. We'll get to C and D. Except as provided in subsection C and D, negotiable instrument means an unconditional promise, or, remember that word or, that means it is separate from this. An unconditional promise or an unconditional order. Remember that. Unconditional promise. Just because and you read on unconditional promise or order, unconditional promise or unconditional order to pay a fixed amount of money with or without interest, or other charges described in the promise or order if it. So, a negotiable instrument is this: 1, 2, and 3, right? And the types of negotiable instruments are C, D, E, F, and G, all the way down, right? But what makes a negotiable instrument is 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to see within this subsection, and we're going to see within this code and this law, that it does not have to, a negotiable instrument does not have to meet all 3 requirements in order to be a negotiable instrument. But I'm not just going to tell you that. I'm going to show you that, okay? But keep your mind closed if you want to, because reading it is going to make it fundamental. So, it's an unconditional promise or order to pay a fixed amount of money with or without interest. Other charges described in the promise or order if it, 1, is payable to the bearer, or payable to bearer, not even the. Try to get rid of that word the. Do not be using that word the. It's payable to bearer. It doesn't say payable to the bearer. It's payable to bearer or, remember, or is payable to order. Is payable to bearer or payable to order. Stop that the shit. They're not asking for that. Make it payable to. Who is the? The is a fucking word that is just a conjunction. Like, it's a filler word that you don't need. It's payable to. Talk the way that they talk. Alright? Yes, you signed your name as a promissory note. Once you sign your name on a promissory note, a piece of bond paper, they turn it into an unconditional promise. That's what they do. That's how you get your fucking mortgage. That's how you get your car note. They take it, they make you sign it on bond paper, and then they sell it to that bank. They take it straight to that bank and go right to your trustee and say, hey, look, they promised to pay me, pay me. This person promised to pay me, pay me. And then you pay them also, so they double dip on you. And that's how they really pay their employees. Definitely for cars, that's how they make all of them commissions on that shit. Because they already got fucking paid. So, and then the interest is crazy. So anyway, so that's how everybody's getting paid, except you. Alright? So, is it unconditional promise? Is payable to bear or payable to order at the time it is issued. Remember this word, issued. What's issued? The domestic obligation is issued. That's part of the public debt. All right? It is issued. Payable to bearer or payable to order at the time it is issued. Or, remember that or, so this is separate from this. First comes into possession of a holder. Now that's just one aspect of a negotiable instrument. So let's go over it. It's payable to the bearer. Let's see if this fits into that. It's payable to the bearer or order at the time it is issued. One, it is issued to you. But notice that it's going to be on all of your bills. Go get a bill and look at it. Somewhere on it, it's going to say make payable to. And it's not going to say to the. Remember that. Please make your payment payable to, and then it's their name right there. They try to be slick by putting their name on the bottom right there, but it's already made payable to. If they send this to you, notice that you can't take this and fill this out and send it to Verizon to get it sent. If your cable company sent it to you, and that's Comcast, right? You can't take what they send you and then go pay your phone bill with it. It's already made payable to the cable company. There's no way for you to do it. Why? Because it's made payable to a bearer at the time it is issued. And then here comes our letter of instruction also. Or first comes into the possession of a holder. Well, who is the holder? You have to be the holder, right? Because they're not sending this thing to anybody it's not supposed to go to. Why would they send a bill to somebody that's not supposed to go to? Why would you send anything or issue anything to a person that is not supposed to see it? You wouldn't. That's against federal law. Opening somebody's mail is against federal law. Notice they have to send you these things, right? So, who is the holder? Our letter of instruction. Per UCC 3-104, I am the holder. You issued this to me, and it was payable to you at the time you issued it to me. And I came into possession of it, so I am the holder. Prove that I'm not the holder. Prove that I'm not, because if you prove that I'm not the holder, guess what? That means this is somebody else's bill. Send it to them. Send it to who it's supposed to go to, because it's not supposed to come to me. You hear me? So, one. So far, this fits into one. Okay? Which is enough, but like I said, when I get to it, I'm going to show you that you don't need all three. But also this. It's payable on demand or at a definite time. Then it says and it will go down to 3. We'll get to 3. Is payable on demand or at a definite time. Now, this is where a lot of people fall through the cracks also, so pay attention. They tell you that you're inserting that this is a check. They're telling you that you're inserting this is a check. So some people even write that hey, it's a check for you to go cash. No, it is not a check. All checks, definitely per this section right here, are payable on demand. This is not payable on demand. The minute that they get it, they can't go then cash it in any bank that they want to. They can't. it's not payable on demand. But notice it says or, so this is separate from this. It's payable on demand or at a definite time. At a definite time. So that means it's for you to define the time that it can be paid and to be saying it within truth. And you know what? It can be paid as soon as they receive it and then send it to the treasury. That's the definite time. That's your letter of instruction. Per UCC 3-104, this negotiable instrument was made payable to a bearer at the time, which is them. I am the holder. I came into possession of it. 2, it is payable at a definite time. That definite time would be as soon as you send it to cash to the United States Treasury, the Bureau of Fiscal Service, specifically. As soon as you send it to the Bureau of Fiscal Service, it will be paid. It will be taken care of. They will zero out the account. It is paid at a definite time. Okay? So you have to make this payable at a definite time per your what? Per your instructions that you already endorsed and said that it was going to be submitted with written instructions. So you need to be submitting written instructions and telling them this. This is a negotiable instrument because it falls into this category 1. It falls into category 2. And what is category 3? Does not state any undertaking or instructions by a person promising or ordering payment to do any act in addition to payment of money. Okay? So it's going to go down into different types of things, but basically that's what it's saying. You're not putting anything, or nobody puts anything on here for you to do other than pay money. There shouldn't be anything on here other than names and money. There should be no instructions on these, on this negotiable instrument. That's for your letter of instruction. There should be nothing on here saying, hey, look, I'll trade you, I'll come and work for you for 2 hours, and so you can knock this off, and I'm going to give you $50 also. It doesn't like that. It's no understrike. It's straight. This is for you to pay with. They never put anything on here for you to do other than pay them. So you won't put anything on here to be done other than paying them. Your letter of instruction is the key. Okay? So, per UCC 3-104, this is going to fall into category 1, 2, and 3. All right? This falls into every category. Yeah. Right? And you're going to get that out. But this falls into every category. So when we saying that, per UCC 3-104, Section A, 1, 2, and 3, which makes a negotiable instrument, this instrument that you sent me fits all 3 categories. Prove that it doesn't. Prove that it doesn't. Because in your letter of instruction, you're going to make it a legal document when you notarize it. And I'm getting ahead of them, putting it, I'm getting ahead really. But when you notarize in your letter of instruction, since we're talking about it, it becomes a legal document. And a legal document must be rebutted within 10 days. And they can't just rebut your legal document and say no. No, they have to give you legal recourse in rebutting that. There has to be legal recourse in rebutting that. All right? Or else they go into court. Or else, guess what? If they don't, you automatically win the judgment. Okay? So now we're going to keep going because remember, we got to talk about subsections C and D. We got to keep going. Okay? So now that we know that this will fall, matter of fact, one's in the chat if you feel like this is explained correctly and how this falls into subsection 1, 2, and 3 before we go down. Let me get ones in the chat. Let me see some ones in the chat if that makes sense. Okay, all right, I see some ones. 100. You got it. Okay, there we go. All right. That's on level 1. Yeah, so. All right, so now we know. These are things that we're trying to understand. We're trying to comprehend, right? This is a negotiable instrument. Fine, now how do we use this negotiable instrument, right? So what's going to give us more clarity of this being a negotiable instrument? It is, I just don't know how to word it. And we're going to get to that. I'm trying to sub, but don't put money on TikTok. There's another way I can get. Yes, like I said, I'm going to pin the Cash App for those ones who don't want to sub through TikTok, and we can go through Discord. And everything, we'll do everything on the Discord that way. And I will basically, yeah. So I'm going to do everything on the Discord for y'all. All right, so instrument. We're going down to B first. Instrument means a negotiable instrument. Please pay attention to that, because that word instrument, we are going to see it. All right, and it's going to be dumbed down, but it's going to be for you to recognize that when it says instrument, it means what? Negotiable instrument. It means something that is what? 1, 2, and 3. This is what makes a negotiable instrument. B, C, and D, E, F, those are the types of negotiable instruments. But this means instrument, when we see it, and we will see it by itself, it's going to mean a negotiable instrument. So do not let that go past your head. All right? Sub through Cash App. Make sure that you DM me and send me your cash tag too, so I know that it's you. DM me and send me your cash tag, so then I can give you the Discord also. So, and all subs, I will give all subs my Discord. Like, everybody that sub is going to have the Discord as well. So that would be a place for us as well. Val, thank you for the subscription. Thank you for the subscription, and welcome to the family. So the instrument means negotiable instrument. Now we've said subsection C and D. We there now. Okay, C. In order that meets all of the requirements of subsection A. This is subsection A. These are the requirements. Except paragraph 1. So except this one. And otherwise falls within the definition of a check in subsection F, which we will go over subsection F. That is a check. You see down right here. It's a check. Subsection F is a check. Is a negotiable instrument and a check. So I'm going to read it all together. In order that meets all of the requirements of subsection A, except paragraph 1, and otherwise falls within the definition of a check in subsection F, is a negotiable instrument and a check. Now this right here, don't let that go over your head, because what? In order that meets all of the requirements of subsection A, except paragraph 1. That lets you know that what? Except paragraph 1. Meaning that a negotiable instrument does not have to meet all of the requirements. Because this type of negotiable instrument, they're telling you is a negotiable instrument and a check, does not meet subsection 1. So you don't need to meet. It can meet 2 and 3. And it can still be a negotiable instrument and a check. And why is that? Remember what I said about a check. It's payable on demand. Every single check is payable on demand, no matter what, right? So a check cannot fall within 1. Like they said, except paragraph 1, because it will never be made payable to bearer at the time it is issued. Why? Because when they issue you your checkbook, it's empty. And you have to make who is going to be it paid to. The bearer, you're going to have to make payable to bearer on each different check. So at the time it is issued, it is not made payable to bearer. Okay? If that makes sense. So we know that per this subsection, a negotiable instrument does not have to meet all 3 requirements, even though this does. Even though this meets all 3 requirements. But if it doesn't, then it's deemed what? If it meets all of these requirements except for 1, then it's a negotiable instrument and a check. So it can just meet the requirements of 2 and 3 and be a check, or a check and a negotiable instrument. It's letting you know that a negotiable instrument can meet 1, 2, and 3. It'll be a negotiable instrument and a check. If it meets just 1, it's just a negotiable instrument. It cannot be a check. Okay? If it meets just 1, all right. So, now, because this is called like a promissory note. This is going on the like promissory notes, okay? So now we got to go down to D too. Yes, I have heard of the bill of exchange. So now, we're going to go down to D. A promise or order other than a check is not an instrument. Negotiable instrument. A promise or order other than a check is not an instrument if at the time it is issued, remember that issued, or first comes into possession of a holder, it contains a conspicuous statement, however expressed. A conspicuous statement is something that pops out. Thank you for the heart me. Something that stands out is conspicuous. Something that you're going to notice. All right? That's what that means. It must contain a conspicuous statement. So, a promissory order other than a check is not an instrument if at the time it is issued, remember this, at the time it is issued, or first comes into the possession of a holder, it contains a conspicuous statement, however expressed. It doesn't matter how it's expressed. To the effect that the promise or order is not negotiable or is not an instrument governed by this article. So they have two ways to let you know that it's not negotiable or is not an instrument governed by this article. So literally, if they could kill this, right? They could kill this whole theory, right? Of saying that negotiable instrument, what is and what isn't, by just putting on here somewhere that it's not negotiable. All they would have to do is put somewhere on this paper that it's not negotiable. All they would really have to do is not put it on bond paper. But all they would have to do is put on here, hey, this thing is not negotiable. Hey, this thing is not governed by UCC 3-104. But I guarantee you will never see that. And that's per D. Literally, it is not an order other than a check. It's not an instrument. It's not a negotiable instrument if at the time it is issued or first comes into the possession of a holder, it contains a conspicuous statement, however expressed. They can express this however they wanted to the effect that the promise or order is not negotiable or not an instrument governed by this article. It is that simple for them to kill this. All they would have to do is literally put on this piece of paper, not negotiable. But do they do it? They can't. They can't by law because what? They're under the gold clause. They are operating under the gold clause. And it's because they're operating under the gold clause, what does that mean? That means that there's public debt obligation. And there's what? Domestic obligations that are issued. So they have to issued. These are domestic obligations that are issued. So they can't put that it's not negotiable because they must issue you these negotiable instruments. It's that simple. Bam, not negotiable. That simple. But they don't do it. Check your bills. Go around. Look at it. It's going to tell you to do a lot of things. Please detach the coupon and return you with a payment. Allow 5 days for the mail delivery. It says all of that stuff on here. It never says that it's not negotiable. It never says that it's not governed by UCC 3-104. And you might even see codes on this thing. They might put some codes on the back. Making some stuff like that. It's nowhere. And it's as simple as that. It really is as simple as that. So, what do we know now about a negotiable instrument? We know that when we're instructing these people per UCC 3-104 and we're making our proof that this is a negotiable instrument, right? It fits in this category of A, 1, 2, and 3, right? Because it was made payable to a bearer, you, the company, and it was issued, and I am the holder. When I came into possession of it, you made me the holder by sending it to me. And I know that you have to send it to me per 15 USC 7001. And I know that you have to send it to me because you're operating under the gold clause. That's 31 USC 5118. So I am returning it basically. So I filled it out and I made it payable at a definite time. There contains no other undertaking instructions on it other than me paying you the money. Right? And under UCC 3-104, Section D, you did not put any conspicuous statements on this, saying that it's not negotiable and that it's not governed by UCC 3-104. That is their fault, because you could have put that on there and it would have been non-negotiable. Have you ever got a practice checkbook and then it says non-negotiable on it? That's why. They put a big stamp on it. Not negotiable. Right? Yes, please screen record if you can't keep up. So, this is UCC 3-104. This is why this is a negotiable instrument. We are proving to them and asserting to them, challenge it. Because I know why you sent it to me. I know why you sent it to me. I know why you sent it to me. And this is a pre-course, guys, to the class that's coming in August 11th. So, if you're missing it, this pre-course will be running. I'll probably be running this pre-course all the way up until somewhere the first week in August, so people can get this. All right, so now stay with me, because we almost coming to the end here, but we have to go over another UCC code so we can then figure out and we can fill out, and I can tell you how to properly fill out this bottom part. And then we can take some questions, and I'll have somebody in here. Like I said, I have somebody in here who can help expedite some people's process. Okay? All right. So now that we know what a negotiable instrument is, let's figure how we're going to figure out and how we're going to fill out this negotiable instrument. Does anyone have able to use these remittance coupons to pay your bill? Yes. Yes, I do. Me specifically. But yes. And she's in here also. So, now, we at 151. Let's go to 165, guys. When do we do the instructions? You're going to do the instructions. You're going to learn the code so you can do the instructions. As I'm giving you, after this, though, like I said, when we put it all together, you'll know about the instructions, when to do, what to do, where to go, all of that. Because I want to get through actually filling this whole thing out. All right. Says the person, no, queen. I'm not doing that. Show us a paid bill. I can show you a paid bill. It's not going to show you how it was paid. You are sending these things off, and then your service continues to go. When you go check it, you'll see that your service is on. So I'm going to show you a paid bill. It's not going to say anything other than the bill is paid. Like, if you don't want to sit here and get knowledge, I'm giving you knowledge. Sis, if you want to continue to show me this, and I'm showing you the law of why you can do it. Everybody's process is different. If you want somebody to do it for you, like I said, we will have somebody in here who will do it for you. You just got to wait till the end of the class. And she will probably show you a whole bunch of stuff. Don't even worry about it. Don't worry about it. But for everybody else that want to have the literacy to do this, this is why I'm here. All right. Don't let it distract you, please. Okay. Say less. All right. So we're going to go to 165 on the lights, y'all. Tap the screen for me so we can go over this next code right here. This next code, UCC 4-419. All right. This is going to help us get to our letter of instruction, because all of these codes, we'll go back over them. They will be in your letter of instruction. All right. So, tap that screen real quick. Let me get my drink. That's a good drink there. And we're going to continue to go about this. Yeah, we're going to continue to do this, because it's nothing that's going to beat understanding. Nothing is going to beat the knowledge of understanding. Trust me. I don't care what anybody says. Once you understand, definitely if you've been down this course, because most of us have been down this rabbit hole for a while now with no proper understanding. We hear it and we know that people are actually doing it, Because we run across those actual couple people who have done it, and then we're like, but how, nigga? How? And then they tell you some shit like, read the codes, bruh. And you be like, nigga, you don't think it was that easy? I would have been doing this. Right? I would have been doing this if it was just reading the codes, bruh. Yeah. Right? And they just telling you, read the codes. And sometimes they just lucked up. It just happened to luck up. Right? But it's all about understanding. It's all about comprehension. We almost there at 165, guys. I appreciate y'all tapping the screen for me too. I really do. This helps get as many people as I can that's gonna come to this course. This is the pre-course, and like I said, time for one-on-ones, like that's what would help. That's what this helps with. It frees up my time, and then it frees up that's time that I can give to y'all, because like I said, time is money. Time is money. I don't need my bills paid. I'm good with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm good with that. I don't need my bills paid. So understand, like with the subscription, that comes like every month. Like people who have subbed to me, I won't even see none of that till after the class has started. The money that people are subbing with, I will not see any of that until after the course has started. Understand that. Okay? So it's never ever really was about that. But it is about people who just want to be, some people can be annoying with this shit. Like, they just want. And like, I got time too. I'm a person too. I get tired. I get all of that. You know what I'm saying? And then you have people who are out here teaching these courses that are getting paid. They are getting paid. And I mean, when I say paid, they are getting paid. Moolah. Bread. You understand? So, yeah. Thank you. I feel like everybody should be paid for their services. You know what I'm saying? Yet still, I really want to give away this as much as I can for as low as I can. So subscribers, y'all help me, period. Y'all are the GOATs, period. And anybody who's ever heard me teach a class, hey, if you don't think I don't deserve to get paid, don't subscribe. You know what I'm saying? But I'm trying to help. So we at 170. We at 170, guys. So now, remember all of these key words, because now we're at UCC 3-419, and we want to know how to do the bottom part. We went over the top part, and if you weren't here for the top part, I'll swing back around because all the codes are going to come back in there, right? But now we're on this bottom part because we now know this is a negotiable instrument, and we're going to negotiate with it, right? But we want to know a little bit more of the details in the negotiable instrument. Yes, you can use this to pay a bill. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Val. Thank you for that galaxy. Thank you so much. Yeah, so we want to learn how we're going to really get in on this thing, right? And these are called instruments, remember? Remember instruments, right? An instrument is what? Negotiable instrument. Well, hell, that's what we got. That's what we have right here. We know that. We have an instrument. Thank you. Thank you for the cherries, Melissa. So we got an instrument here. I get that money part, but if utilizing the trust, right, get the money. We are utilizing this trust when you do this process. Every time you sign something, they go into your trust that they already created, bro. You are the beneficiary to the trust. The government is the trustee. That's why they make promissory notes and they go into your trust. All right. So you have a trust already set up. So you can set up another trust and try to move this trust into another trust, but you're going to have a whole problem doing that. I'm letting you know that process is not easy. I'm giving people the easiest remedy process that is available to them because you're already a United States citizen. So UCC 3-419. Instruments signed for accommodation. Instruments, negotiable instruments. Let's get into this. It says here, hey, if an instrument is issued, what's issued now? We know we have domestic obligations that are issued because of the public debt obligation. Public debt obligation means what? Domestic obligations that are issued or guaranteed. So this instrument that is a negotiable instrument is issued. Now, everybody who came in here was like, notice that the balance is never negative. It's never negative. For value given. It's issued for value given. It have given this a value because you can turn it into a negotiable instrument. And when they put that number on there, that bill number that is not negative, that is the value. Once you endorse it correctly, you have given it the value because they already gave it a value. You just have to sign it. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. If an instrument is issued for value for the benefit of a party to the instrument, to the negotiable instrument, benefit of a party, right? If an instrument is issued for value given for the benefit of a party to the instrument, accommodated party, and another party to the instrument, accommodation party. We got two parties now. They just clarified that there's two different parties. Accommodated party, accommodation party. Okay? Accommodated party, accommodation party. So let's be clear about who's who in this transaction. Right? If an instrument is issued for value given for the benefit of a party to the instrument, accommodated party. This is made payable to who? The company. So who's going to be the benefit of this instrument? Of the value given for this instrument? The accommodated party, right? So who's the accommodated party? The people sending you this bill. They are the accommodated party. It makes sense because they need to be accommodated. They gave you a service and now they want to be accommodated. This is why they're sending you a bill. Right? How do I get into the Discord? I'm going to send the Discord out at the end of this class. I'm going to send the Discord out for everybody for all subs. I'm going to send the Discord out to y'all. And then for the people who trying to sub a different way, I'm going to send them the Discord. Just need the perfect instructions. Thank you. So, if an instrument is issued for value, because it's never negative, for the benefit of a party to the instrument, accommodated party, and another party to the instrument, accommodation party. So who is the other party on the instrument? You're going to be right on there. You see, you're going to have your address on there and everything. I'm going to take the address off. But you're going to have your address on there and everything. You have been added to the instrument. They on the instrument, make payable to them, and then you on the instrument. Add another party to the instrument. Accommodation party. So that's you. Now we know which party is which. The accommodation party needs to accommodate the accommodated party. So at the end of it, the accommodated party will be accommodated by the accommodation party. That's the basis of it, right? So now, and add another party to the instrument, accommodation party, signs the instrument for the purpose of incurring a liability on the instrument without being a direct beneficiary of the value for the instrument. The instrument is signed by the accommodation party for accommodation. Now we're going to go over that again because now it's telling us what? The accommodation party signs the instrument for the purpose of incurring a liability on the instrument. The liability that they put on the instrument, they give it the value. Signs the instrument, negotiable instrument, right? Signs the instrument, the negotiable instrument, for the purpose of incurring a liability on the negotiable instrument. They have put the value on the negotiable instrument so they can incur the liability of it, right? On the negotiable instrument that was issued, right? This instrument is issued to you. You know what I'm saying? You don't go get it. They issue this to you. They have to, right? And then you sign the instrument for the purpose of incurring a liability on the instrument without being a direct beneficiary of the value given for the instrument. Now, that word direct beneficiary, right? Without being a direct beneficiary. And it used direct beneficiary because you are benefiting from it. When they get their money, guess what? You get your service. So you're not a direct beneficiary of the value given for the instrument because they are getting the money. They are being accommodated. But to be specific, you are benefiting from it. You are a beneficiary of the instrument being signed this way. But you're not the direct beneficiary of the value that's given. Okay? They're letting you know specifically. Okay? How is this not you? Right? The purpose of incurring a liability on the instrument without being a direct beneficiary of the value given